So I would like to start off this video with a little apology. I am sorry that it just so happens that we are discussing two bangers in a row, meaning we yet again do not have a movie to shit on. Don't worry, I will make sure that next week we have something shitty to review. Unfortunately, we have a banger on our hands, dude.
It's a Friday once again.
Hello, my fellow freaks, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys have all had a great week. For once, my life is like finally slowed down. It's been really nice. I've been able to catch up on some stuff, and I am so excited for this week's video. Now, this weekend is Mother's Day weekend, and I know that there are several horror movies out there that deal not only with the holiday of Mother's Day, but that deal with the dilemma of being a mother. I don't know. There's a lot of horror movies surrounding mothers and motherhood out there, and so there was a really broad spectrum of what I could probably do for this week's review, especially since I kind of like to keep it festive and on theme with any like holidays that might be happening around the time of a new upload. But instead of focusing on a horror movie that either surrounds Mother's Day or mothers or motherhood, I've decided to take a little bit of a different route and instead look at a horror movie that my mom loves. No, it's not Hereditary, which might be like her all-time favorite horror movie. But no, we are looking at a film from her time, from the 80s. Night of the Comet from 1984, directed by Thorn Eberhardt? I did not look up how to say that before recording this, so here we are. We are looking at an 80s end of the world movie that my mom really loves for how cheesy it is, how super 80s it is, and she's always told me how awesome it is. And it's to the point that she got it for me on DVD a few years ago, but I never got around to actually sitting down and watching it. So again, I thought this channel was the perfect excuse for me to finally watch a film that I have been asked to watch for years. And you know, this movie has ended up being a really nice break from some of the stuff I have been reviewing because, I don't know, Night of the Comet somehow feels like the most normal, average, like Hollywood horror movie that I've seen in a while. I feel like I've been watching a whole lot of crazy off the wall kind of shit lately. So watching this was a very welcome change of pace, and it really, you guys, I can't wait to tell you more about this movie. Just, oh my god. But first, if you are new here, hi, my name is STARGUTZZZ. Any crashing or loud noises that you may hear in the background are my cats. And my reviews kind of tend to be more of like a discussion of elements that are good or bad, what makes or breaks a film, rather than giving you a play-by-play of everything that happens in detail. So in other words, I try to refrain from spoilers as much as possible. However, spoilers will come up sometimes as they pertain to the discussion. Of course, I'll always give warnings if they do ever come up. If you would like to watch Night of the Comet before the rest of this review, you can do so on our good friend Tubi TV. I will have the link in the description, so it is just that much easier for you to access this film. I am not sponsored by Tubi in any way, but all of you who have been here for a while know we are fiending for that sponsorship. Don't know what that would look like, but we want it. With all of that out of the way, let's get right into this review. After a deadly comet turns most of humanity to ashes, sisters Regina and Samantha find themselves to be some of the last survivors in LA, or so they think. As these valley girls traverse the city looking for other signs of life, they come across an array of other survivors, all of which they must defend themselves from in this new world. This movie is definitely not exactly what I was expecting it to be, at least not 100%. Obviously, Night of the Comet, you figure a comet has to do some kind of apocalyptic scenario in this situation, but whenever I was told about it or looked into it, it seemed very focused on like the zombie aspect of the film and the girls being in the mall. And both of those are just like very like minor, one short little story arc that happens within the totality of the narrative. I mean, this has a lot of little story arcs going on. It really delves into this focus on like these teenage valley girls navigating the end of the world, and let's fucking talk about that shit. As excited as I am to get into like the storytelling aspect and the world building that takes place in this, I first want to touch on how iconic this movie is and looks. This movie is oozing with iconography. It is so iconic. And this is gonna sound so silly. This is gonna sound so goofy, silly, like what why are you even saying this goofy silliness? But Night of the Comet has to be the most 80s movie that I've ever seen. It is so iconically 80s. I mean, the art direction in this movie is absolutely stunning. If you're a fan of like Vice City, or if you like the vaporwave kind of aesthetic, you will be obsessed with this movie. I mean, it really feels like this movie is looking at the 80s with rose-tinted glasses, but it's from the 80s. It almost feels like this movie is one of the blueprints for the vaporwave aesthetic. And I mentioned Vice City, a lot of the art direction and the colors that are used, a lot of the gradients and the neon colors, and then there's just a constant drone of radio and 80s music in the background almost at all times. Man, if that doesn't remind me of playing Grand Theft Auto Vice City. It's just, oh my god, it's so beautiful. I think one of my favorite details is after the comet arrives, all of the skies have this very red, warm gradient to it, and it's consistent throughout, and oh my god, it's just beautiful. It's beautiful. I don't know what to tell you. It's beautiful, okay? How is this an 80s movie that feels like it's looking at the 80s with these nostalgic rose-tinted neon glasses? I don't know. I don't know. Again, see, this is what I mean. I feel like I sound silly saying all of this because it's like, it's from 84. Of course, it's super 80s, but that's not what I mean. It feels like all of the art direction in it feels like somebody looking back at the 80s almost with, again, these rose-tinted lenses. I don't know. It is the most 80s movie I've ever seen. And I realize that I probably say it too much, but damn, this movie is beautiful. It is so pretty. It's so pretty, dude. Like, watching everything about this movie and how it's constructed together into this world. I mean, even like the clothing that everyone wears. It's like no detail is really forgotten. The movie feels like a painting, okay? Does that help like get the idea across a little bit better? The movie feels like someone's painting. I'm sure throughout here I have shown you examples of how beautiful this movie can be, because I feel like that's the only way I can appropriately get it across. I can sit here and try to describe it to you as best as I can, but I think just showing you a few of my favorite examples gets it across a little bit more, especially because as time goes on, we are definitely more visual people than anything else. And the cherry on top over how artistically iconic it is Regina. Regina! Dude, she is the cherry on top. This has to be one of my favorite protagonists of all time. Regina is just, she is the it girl. She is this beautiful valley girl who knows her shit and isn't looking for anybody to save her. She's very capable of taking care of things herself. She even knows how to use a fucking gun before the apocalypse happened. Hello? And I also love how, you know, again, beautiful valley girl, but she is somewhat of a nerd. Like, there are examples of her being a nerd throughout this. The first one being her obsessed with the arcade video game at her job, and then shortly after that when she makes fun of, I don't really think he's actually her boyfriend, I would say more boy toy. When she's talking to her boy toy about Superman looking through steel.
Superman can see through steel.
No, it's one thing he cannot see through.
That's lead, you nerd.
And again, She already knew her way around a gun before the comet happened, man. Oh my god, do I love Regina. She is everything. She is everything. She is the it girl. I feel like she is the only apocalyptic end of the world protagonist to exist ever. And like Samantha is fine and all. Yes, she's very 80s. I adore her outfit. She looks like not even Barbie. She looks like Skipper, okay? Very adorable, very cute. But oh my god, she's not Regina. Her character is almost like magnetic in a way. Again, she's very beautiful, she's very feminine, but at the same time, she's really badass. Like, she kicks some fucking ass and she doesn't need, I mean, a man eventually saves her, but she didn't need him to save her. She was capable on her own. And just everything about her attitude and her style and how she navigates this new world, I don't know. I love it. I love that she's feminine while still badass. And I love that she's a valley girl and badass nerd. Now, to kind of bounce off of this topic of how great of a protagonist Regina is, it's not only that, but the concept of this narrative is so unique and compelling. Well, maybe you can argue compelling or not, but it's definitely unique. And this unique concept that the film decides to explore is also aids in making this such an iconic film. But the way they tackle it is just also really cool. I really appreciate the way that this concept is tackled. And I am talking about the concept of teenage valley girls in the end of world scenario. And I do consider this more of an end of the world scenario than I would a zombie flick, which is how I've seen some people describe it as. Yes, there's like kind of zombies in it, but they're also kind of not zombies. We're gonna get into it in a little bit here, but I consider it more end of the world, and I love the direction that this is, again, an end of the world scenario told through the perspective of two young girls, teenage girls in high school who are from LA and well-off families. Basically told from the perspective of maybe one of the groups of people who are least expecting an apocalypse to wipe out all of humanity. And it does it in a very like serious and genuine tone. Now, when I say serious, I don't mean that it's like dramatic. There is some comedy in it. I'm not saying that this is like, serious, like a deep, serious movie, like Hereditary. But I mean, they really take the concept seriously when writing the story and deciding what these characters are doing in the situations that they're put in.
The legal drinking age is now 10, but you will need ID, let's be real.
Like, they're taking the concept of how would teenage valley girls really respond if they were some of the very final survivors in an end of the world scenario, if everyone that they knew and loved was kaput. And I feel like that's something we don't, maybe there have been other movies that have done this, but I've never seen it. I feel like a lot of the times when we're looking at an end of the world scenario, we're following like grown adults. There are a few examples that I could give on how I like that they've taken this concept seriously and really considered the weight of the world ending for these girls. And I feel like the easiest example that I could mention is just the mall scene, right? But instead, I want to talk about the conversation that Regina and Samantha have right before the mall scene. During this moment, Sam has a moment of reflection of her life, how it was just like about 2 days prior. She's sharing information about a boy that she likes and how her best friend thought that he was going to start asking her out. And then I believe also drama with the same friend trying to hide her grades from her parents, and Samantha starts crying. I really appreciate the inclusion of this scene, and maybe it does come up like pretty often in the story in little ways, but I appreciated how like upfront this one is, because it's a very valid reaction from Samantha. Just 1 or 2 days ago, she was a normal teenager with a normal life, and in a snap, everything disappeared. Her brain is of course still focused on all of these little things that were happening in her life that even though they don't exist in it, you know what I mean? Like, that's hard. That's hard for your entire life to be revolved around these certain things, even if they're little, and then they're just gone. In an instant, it's all gone. And now you have to deal with being one of the final people alive on Earth. I love that scene. I really appreciate it. And it shows, like, what I was mentioning, the serious depth of taking the concept of Valley Girls dealing with the end of the world seriously. I feel like a lot of end of the world or apocalyptic zombie kind of movies are very focused on the survival aspect of it. And while Night of the Comet obviously does focus on these girls surviving, I think it also really focuses on how it's affecting them as well. Even with the conclusion of the film, which I don't really want to spoil, I think it's a really cute conclusion, and I think it's very fitting. But even with the way the conclusion is, I mean, it's just telling of how the end of the world is affecting them, you know? And I really like that. I really appreciate that. I think it's really neat too. I'm so glad that they have like explored this concept. It's something that I didn't know I needed, but now that I have it, you know me, I get obsessed. I get so obsessed. So it's not only the perspective that this film takes that I think is unique, but the way they do zombies as well. Now, like I said, the zombies aren't really zombies. Like, that's what you want to call them because you can't, there's no other word for it. At least maybe in 84 there wasn't. Now, I'm gonna tell you, these guys are ghouls from Fallout. They're they are quite literally ghouls from Fallout. I think the way that they're like created is obviously a little bit different. In Night of the Comet, these guys are created because they were semi-exposed to the comet's effect, and so instead of just immediately turning to ashes, they're slowly turning to ashes over time, and it's kind of making them go a little bit more crazy. But essentially they're the same thing. They even look the same, in my opinion. And they also, you know, they speak, they're conscious of what they're doing, and they're just like maniacs, basically, while they slowly die. The first time one of them spoke, I was shocked and intrigued. And then we get like a whole ass mini villain that's essentially I'm just gonna call them ghouls because that's basically what they are, and zombie doesn't feel right. So I know they're two different franchises. I'm still gonna use ghoul, okay? That's what makes sense. But we get a little mini villain who is a ghoul, and he is probably, he's a really good villain. He does not last as long as he should, although I understand why he doesn't last as long as he should. You know, I'm not mad about it. I could have seen like half the movie with them interacting with this dude. Like, I mean, just the way that they wrote all the characters and how the characters interact with each other, and the way that they build this apocalyptic world up too. It's so finely detailed, and it's honestly something that I feel like I could have watched several movies, like in an entire franchise of Regina and Samantha navigating the apocalypse. I would have watched 12 fucking movies of Regina and Samantha navigating the world that was built in this movie. Coming across other survivors, coming across other evildoers, coming across other ghouls. I would sit my ass down for so many films that followed this world. I need Regina and Samantha in the Thunderdome, bitch. Like, come on. In a sense, I am happy that it's just like one movie because it doesn't feel milked. But at the same time, if they had made more movies of these characters navigating this new world, having more conflict with other survivors, I would have sat my happy ass down for every single one of them. Everything about it is just, it's not only cool and creative, but it's unique and it's beautiful. It's pleasant to look at. Everything about it just feels so manufacturedly perfect for the 80s, man. Like I said, it is the most 80s movie you'll probably ever see it, or at least like top 5. Let's say at least top 5. The art direction is gorgeous, the world building is incredible, the storytelling is so well written. I love the perspective that this end of the world film takes by making it focused on Valley Girls navigating the end of the world instead of just like normal, generic adult person. And it's something that could have very easily been like 100% comedy, unserious goofiness, but I do really appreciate the serious takes that it has in telling the story from these girls' perspectives. And again, if you are obsessed with like vaporwave stuff or the 80s, Vice City, end of the world scenarios that aren't necessarily about zombies, then I highly recommend Night of the Comet to you. Like, surely this movie is a cult classic, right? There's no way Night of the Comet is not a cult classic. And if it's not, somehow it should be. This is probably one of the top most iconic movies that I've ever seen. It's gorgeous. The protagonist is an icon. She is the it girl. She's everything. The writing, I mean, what more can I say? Honestly, what more can I possibly say? And as I have told you in the beginning of this video, I am so sorry to have given you guys bangers 2 weeks in a row. I like to split things up. I don't like it to like all be good shit, you know? We need a shitty movie in there here and there. And I genuinely thought that this was gonna be cheesier and lower quality than what it actually ended up being. So I am giving Night of the Comet an A tier. It is going in A tier for obvious, I feel like for obvious reasons. And again, I'm so sorry to have supplied you with 2 bangers 2 weeks in a row. I'll try better next week. I'm gonna try my damnedest. I'm gonna go through the depths of Tubi's horror category to find something shitty for us to rag on for once, so I can throw out like a fucking, at least a D tier review or something. But I'm also not sorry. This movie absolutely deserves an A tier. I'm so obsessed with it. I want to watch this movie forever. After I like edit this, I'm probably gonna go and watch it again, just for funsies this time. Man, it's so pretty. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Again, it's on Tubi, not sponsored yet. And with that, we are done with yet another movie review. So thank you guys so much if you made it all the way until the very end. I really appreciate you guys being here. If you like this video, make sure you stab that like button. It is a free and easy way to help support this channel, and I appreciate it a whole lot. And if you just love this video so much that you want to hear me ramble about more obscure movies, B-movies, disturbing cinema, consider hitting that subscribe button and the bell icon so you can be notified every time I make a new upload, which typically tends to be every Friday around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes it doesn't get up until Saturday, just depending on my schedule. Also, is there a movie that you would like to see reviewed on the channel? Put it in the comments and maybe you will see it show up in one of my next reviews. Thank you so much to anyone who considers doing any of this. It's very much appreciated. I haven't gone live in a while. I will still continue to plug it in every video because I know I will at some point. You can find me live on Twitch and YouTube. I'll put the links here on the screen. They're also in the description. The days vary depending on what my work schedule is and how busy I am, but if I do go live, I will usually go live about 6 or 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you want updates on when I might be going live just randomly, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I'll put them here. You're more likely to see updates of it on Instagram. I don't really use TikTok so much, but I am trying to change that. And I just want to thank you one last time and give you my appreciation that you have spent your time making it all the way to the very end of the video. Our time here is precious and we truly don't have a whole lot of it. So the fact that you just use your time to sit here and listen to me ramble about how much I love this 80s end of the world movie with beautiful badass Valley girls. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's very much appreciated. I appreciate you for your time. If I do not see you in a live stream, I will definitely see you guys in next week's video. But until then, have a good night and stay safe out there.
You're crazy!
I'm not crazy, I just don't give a fuck!